Welcome back to another episode of the F1 Money Gang Hungarian GP. We're back with the crew. Myself, Golf Footy, aka Dolcetto, F1 Capper, Chris or Integrity Bets, and we have Renegade from the UK. Another exciting weekend. This is probably one of my favorite races on the calendar. It's a very technical track, and I'm like more excited because we're gonna have a little break coming up after this. You know, there's a point of the year where it gets way too many races in a row, then you just want to have a little bit of break. But I'm excited about this race. Lots of new news coming up. Danny Ricciardo is back. We have Nyck DeVries is looking for a job. F1MG is hiring for a data analyst, I think. I don't know. Cap can talk about this. But how are we guys doing? Capper, what's going on, man?
Yeah, we're hiring Nick. Come on board. Or Latifi. You know, he seems more qualified.
Latifi is getting his MBA, so we're exploring options to what position we could get him on the team. But he's overqualified, I think, for F1MG. So we'll have to look at other candidates, I think.
I don't know. If you can get a bachelor's degree in 5 months, I think you can work for us.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
right.
crazy.
That's right. Actually, talking about before I continue on, talking about Nick and Latifi joining the team, I want to mention that our friends at FanAmp, if you guys are not on the app, join the app. You could see the link in the Discord, in the Discord, and on the description of the video or the podcast. But recently, we had Nico Hulkenberg follow the FanAmp team. Super exciting. If you're not on there, you could have live chats with fans all around the world. You could look at stats, articles, videos, all kinds of information. So if you're not on FanAmp, please join that. Link in the description. Then let's go back to the team. How are we doing, Chris?
Good, man. Good, Ready for another race. Ready for another race weekend. Ready for the Free Money Friday. Money in the bank. That's why we're here, and that's what we're going to do.
That's right. And you are, as always, you're the guy who has the trademark Free Money Friday. So we're hoping for another good weekend. Last weekend you had a good weekend. I know that. So Renegade, how about you, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited for the weekend.
Anything to input on the Danny Rick news? Are you excited about that?
No, because we're just going to hear about it for all of free practice.
Yeah, I feel like every Twitter for days now has been Danny Rick. It has been trending, and it's like non-stop. And I get the guy's a funny guy, and we all love him because he's just a funny character, but it's a lot of overhype, and I'll talk about my bet later on. But Cap, what about you? What do you think about this Danny Rick hire and Nyck DeVries being sacked halfway through the season?
It's about time. It's about time that happened, and I mean it's good for F1, right? Good for Drive to Survive. They need a little character, and Nick was, I mean, if he was just not cutting it as a driver on the grid, so. But I will say this is also a lot of pressure for Danny. I hope that he gets through this honeymoon right now, because if he doesn't perform, I mean, this is pretty much it, right? Like, who gives him a seat next year if he doesn't if he doesn't show results? But I also think on the flip side, if he does have a lot of good results, even challenging results, might be challenging Perez. You never know.
Hey, I mean, I can't see that, but we'll see. I guess we'll see.
I mean, I'm not saying it will happen. Yeah. I'm just saying it's
a possibility. Possibility.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris? What do you think about the Danny Rick comeback and Nick being sacked?
I mean, not surprised at all. I've been saying it all year. I've been giving light tail about it since day one. The Mr. 28-year-old rookie. I just refuse to believe that guy was any good from day one. And it all came to fruition. He's fucking gone, and Danny Rick's back in. I mean, it's a cheap move by then. And they're just trying to get some eyes and get a couple of money, get some bucks, sponsors. I don't know what they're doing, but I can't really imagine they're expecting much out of him. I think, like Renegade was saying the other day, I might just have to watch FP1 on mute because that's all you're going to hear about it, and I don't really care to.
Yeah, and I know that somebody. Go ahead, Renegade. Go ahead.
I was just going to say poor Charles Leclerc has been airbrushed out of all the posters. Just Daniel Ricciardo now.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow he's already right there in front of Sky Sports. Daniel Ricciardo right there in his AlphaTauri uniform,
The
which is just
face
wild.
of F1, you know, Drive to Survive producers were just like,
Oh,
thank you
God.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They were like as soon as they were following the news and as soon as they saw it, they already had the script ready. Everything was ready to roll. And but I mean, I'm all for it. I do like a little bit of drama in Drive to Survive, so I'm all good with that. I don't know, like you were saying, like, is it a money move? They already had Oscar Piastri to capture the Australian market, but as we all know, Danny Rick has been their golden boy. I don't know. I feel like it's still Mark Webber, but maybe Danny Rick is more like the funny guy, and people love him, and he's the better looking guy. Maybe I don't know. But let's not talk about Danny Rick like everybody else has. Let's go with some bets. Cap, what are you gonna start us off this weekend? Anything fun? Anything you like?
Yeah, so, you know, like, there really hasn't been a lot to shop around with odds. I mean, there's a lot, but what you want to take, I think the books have stiffened up a little bit. So it was pretty challenging to find something. And also, the field is tighter. We were kind of talking about that. So taking anything in the top three, you're going to find it more challenging because you got now McLaren challenging with Ferraris, Mercedes, and Aston Martin. Same with the top 6, 10 in market. But the one that I did absolutely like at the initial look was Aston Martin top 10 at one. I got it at actually minus 115. Apparently, it's at minus 110 on FanDuel. Apparently, I don't have access to that, but you can get it cheaper there. I think most are pricing it at minus 125. Aston Martin should have a better race. I think this is a better track for them. Having a draggy car, they do better in slower corners. They just adapt well to circuits like this. Your risk is going to be Lance Stroll. That's my biggest fear right now with that. But as far as like Alonso, you know that he's going to be challenging up there. So I think if I'm going to take it, I'm going to take a stab at this. However, the risk is going to be you are going to have Alpines challenging for that 10th spot. So Stroll cannot do anything stupid, which he probably will. So
yeah, this season I have been, I was always, like especially in the start of it, like Austin Martin, and I just cannot trust Stroll. You're a brave man for doing it, but
I know, but it's really, if there is a track that this is ideal for them for sure. Like, they haven't looked good the past few tracks. I get it, but even the markets are showing that, right? Like right now, Alonso is in the top 3. He has the best top 3 odds for third place, I guess. I mean, Hamilton is underdogs. Sainz is, Leclerc is, right? So they're already pricing that. Aston Martin is going to do much better here. So you expect that, like Stroll, as long as he just has a good race. And also, when looking back at all the races this year with Stroll, not defending him, but he did have 2 DNFs, which was the car, and then I think last week he just had a terrible race. I mean, he has been in the top 10. He should get in the top 10, especially in that car.
Yeah.
He also tried to kill Romain Gasly last week.
He did, and that absolutely was oh my God, it was so frustrating. So you better give me my money back this week, Stroll.
And actually,
yeah, I would say that he owes us for sure.
And I forgot to mention, and maybe because we lost, but community bet. I wanted to give an update on the community bet. We trusted the team in red, the clown show over there, the Ferrari, for Charles to be in top 3 on podium. We all knew it was dead as soon as the race started. We all had hopes, but we're sorry, but that's just. Hopefully this week we bounce back.
This is what happens when we back Leclerc or Stroll.
Pathetic.
Those were the 2 that we lost in a community bet, were those 2 clowns. So just saying, this year we had those 2.
And there you go, you're betting him this
I'm
week.
backing it.
Oh, man. All right, Chris, what about you? You're our Mr. Money... Free
Money Friday.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yep, free money Friday, and of course that's what I got. We're on a pretty good hot streak right now. We're up 4.5 units basically over the last 2 races. So no reason to stop now. Right. This week I got a pretty good one. I think we're gonna take Checo top three. I got it at -120, but it turns out you could even get it at plus odds over at DraftKings and maybe some other books. But looking through the data today, his average in fitness position and FP1 on this season is 3.7, which I know some people will be like, what do you mean? It's 3.7, not 3. But if you actually look at all the numbers, he has the the second lowest finish position out of the entire grid, only second to Max, which I think he's around like 2.4. So it's not even a big gap. But I know Chico's getting kind of a hate because of his qualifying, and which he should. It's been pretty damn awful. But if you just take qualifying away and look at his free practice sessions and his race stats, he's having a normal Red Bull Checo year. So at a price like this, at -120, I just can't keep my hands off of it. So, like I always say with the FE1, data and numbers are your friends. Go with the trends, and just trust the numbers and trust the Red Bull at most. And at -120 on it.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
and
Trust
I
the data.
want to wake up on Friday because I'm not sure what time the free practice one is. It's probably like early,
6:30,
maybe.
I think,
Yeah,
or 7:30 your time.
yeah, like in Eastern time zone. But I want to wake up and I want to go on Twitter and see trending free money Friday because it hit. I want to see all those sweet tweets and likes, and because it's what you do. You just cash for the people. So, and the Discord
what
I
we
know
do.
has been booming all week. There has been a lot of talk, and I know lots of talk about Danny Rick and stuff. But there have been people talking about the free money for Friday, so don't miss out on max bets. So, all right, let's move on to Renegade. What's going on there, man? How you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm good. So I think that the bet I've got is for race day, and it's double McLaren points again. So last week I put it up at plus odds. It's not plus odds anymore. It's just under 1.95. So I still think the books and the market, they're not fully convinced on McLaren, but I'm fully convinced on McLaren. They were faster than Ferraris, they were faster than Mercedes easily. We don't know if they were how compared to Perez. It would have been interesting to see if he qualified properly. But this is for top 10. Piastri gets the upgraded car that Norris had at Silverstone. And even if they're not like in front of Ferrari and Mercedes or even Aston Martin, they're going to be somewhere in the mix and they should be top 10. Like, I don't think that advantage is just going to disappear. We saw the advantage of the upgraded car in Austria and Silverstone. They're two different enough tracks. So I think the performance will be shown on Sunday.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, like last week, you were one of the first people on the Discord for the Silverstone race that mentioned at plus 200 or so was for double points for the McLaren, plus 220. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was like 320 odds.
Yeah, 250 or 225, something like that.
Yeah, you were the first one to mention the McLarens even before free practice started. You were very confident of the McLarens, and I want to give you the credit on that. So we appreciate it, and whoever told you had a big cash day. So
One
And
of
so-
us is not going to be
Well,
happy.
it's nice when
That's
it
for
works.
sure. I already know it. Like, that's going to be a tough one. But I do want to kind of piggyback off the McLaren thing. Like, he's right. The markets are not pricing it the way it should. I don't know if there was also some people saying, "Oh, McLaren's going to fall back again." Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, this track is actually set up well for them too. I mean, this one is they could probably challenge again. Who knows? But yeah, we saw a car at a fast, twisty track like Silverstone. Let's see how they perform here. This will be a great benchmark from last week to this week to see how those upgrades really do.
And while you're on that track, well, before I go on with my pick that everybody should fade this week again, because my record on the pod is absolutely worse than Nyck DeVries, so I could get sacked soon.
We're gonna replace you with Danny Rick.
You might have
It's
to, because
coming in.
that's why, like, I want to give out good picks, but I feel like, I swear to God, if you guys listen to the last few pods, I can't win, and I'm like, I have a few more picks that I really love, but I want to have to just post them on the Discord and not talk about them on the pod, because I feel like I jinx myself and stuff. But Cap, do you want to go over the track, the layout,
Yeah.
and everything?
Yeah.
I got that here just for you if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, so this year they're moving the compounds to C3, C4, C5. Last year, I think it was C2, C3, C4. And if y'all can recall, like, everyone was struggling on those hard, so I think that's why they moved it up to the softer compounds. This is definitely a high downforce track. They call it like the Monaco without barriers, but I think it's a little different. There's a few more speed than that. There's also people that claim that it's hard to overtake. That's not true too. You can overtake on this track. Traction is definitely going to be key. As you can see, I do love that the Pirelli is doing this, so you can see where the tires are actually going to get pretty damaged. And this situation is going to be your rear left tire even. So completely different than last week. Last week was more front limited. You're really wearing onto the front tires on this, so definitely having a draggy setup helps. Goes back to why McLaren was a pick for Renegade and why I actually have Aston Martin as one of those picks too. But teams you might see struggle, you're going to see teams that, like a Williams, may have some issues. But yeah, traction is going to definitely be key. Overtaking should be, it should happen. We will see it. And also pay attention to the grid penalties. We might start seeing them this weekend, maybe, but it's going to start happening most likely in Spa for sure. But everyone's starting to use a lot of their components, so you could see some grid penalties as you're getting through the weekend. Also, one last thing, forgot to mention, qualifying, they did add something new here, where you're going to have qualifying, the first round of qualifying, you have to use the hard set of compounds, the medium for qualifying 2, and then the softs for qualifying 3. That's going to be absolutely huge because, yes, you can overtake, but track position is still going to be super critical here. It doesn't mean you can overtake like in a Spa or anywhere at a track like that. So pay attention when you're watching free practice. See how teams or drivers are performing on a specific set of compounds. It's also going to put a lot of pressure on the teams on how they're going to do their testing throughout free practices. And then as well as Saturday is going to be very interesting just in general how these teams perform. Also for the weather, they are expecting FP1 to be dry and potentially storms that could be reaching towards the end of FP2, maybe after. And then Saturday and Sunday should be fine, they're saying so far. So
yeah. And so are you saying that that we should fade the I don't want to call them like the lower tier teams in qualifying, because using the harder compounds on a very downforce track, what's your take on that then? Since you were just
honestly, like I don't know, and this is why I've hesitated the entire week on what to pick. There are so many factors and variables that people are. It's easy to go make a bet just based off what we've done in the past. But this weekend, especially, 1, new teams with upgrades. 2, they did change the tire compounds from C3 to C5. And on top of that, they introduced these new Pirelli tires from last week to this week, too. We still don't really know how good they are. Again, we have 2 completely different track setups. So that's why it's going to be very interesting to see. That's why I've hesitated to place any bets. Actually, full disclosure, I hesitated taking this bet with Aston Martin. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there's still so much of the unknown. Watch free practices. Like do the McButters way. Just throw some money on some FP1 that you like. I mean, that's a pretty safe bet with Perez top 3, unless he just becomes a joker. But that's stat backed. Red Bull is going to be fine. How they're going to perform with the tires. And then just specifically about the race, like when it comes to the tire dag, I mean, this is where we're going to really see these teams with rear tires now getting a lot of the grunt versus the front from last week.
So we should expect a one stopper or two stopper here this weekend based on what you've seen with tires and stuff.
I am going to say two stopper minimum. Yes.
Yeah. Medium, hard, soft, or you're not sure?
Honestly, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be. I think so. But and again, it goes back to last year. A lot of them were ditching the hards for something different because they're like, I just cannot get traction in this thing. So, you know, and this is also a track that has a lot of dust. Apparently, it collects a lot of dust around the area. There's the region. So, and if we do have any rain, like what's the traction going to be like the next day when the track is green, right? So I honestly don't know, and that's why I think they've changed so much just in the few weeks with the tire compounds. It wouldn't surprise me if it changes drastically after we see like the first two sessions of FP. So
yeah, and just to stick with the tire situation, I know in Silverstone a lot of us were big on Mercedes in the early sessions.
Yeah.
And we were just like, why do we keep losing these bets? And Mercedes really just had the masterclass tire plan where they just ran old tires pretty much the entire time. And I mean, you could say sandbagging, but they were really just figuring out how long we can test these softs. And race day came and dominated.
I mean, Russell drove what?
He had like 31 laps on him.
Yeah, on the softs. Yeah,
and he knew, and that's why I said there could be two softs. I do believe we might see some type of safety car. I can't imagine we don't. I'm not going to bet it though.
Especially the first turn.
I don't want people to bet that. But I do believe we see that, and then that changes everything, right? Like there could be, you know, put on the softs if you haven't. And that's another thing. Like how I just don't know how are they going to allocate their tires through FP, through quali. Because, you know, before you only had two sets of hard. So what's the strategy then? Like, you've got to save a set through Q1. I think the top teams may not be worried unless you're a Perez. But, like, the bottom teams definitely have a lot to play for. Like Haas, for instance, right? Like, they really have to nail it with their hard tires or they're fucked. They're going to be in the back. And then what? You have, like, one set. So it's yeah, this is probably one of the hardest weekends. I'm not gonna lie to say I am so confident in a bet, and it's just because of all these variables, especially coming down with the tires.
So what you're saying here is bet Kevin Magnussen to be the last qualifier. Is that what you're saying here?
It might be the
Renegade
Specials, right?
He can't finish a race. It seems like so he doesn't even.
And he just had a child, right?
yeah, he had a kid. You know, he might a little extra motivation to finish his time.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Well, let's go to my bet that I'm not super excited to share, but I have to, and I've been on that Yuki over Danny Rick, and I feel like it's been talked about a lot. I wish I bet it earlier, and like in the week. I know that a lot of guys in the Discord bet it, and I know that you know I'm kind of stealing Light's pick here, but I also like it a lot. Yuki over Danny Rick for the race. This is for the race, not for qualifying or free practice. It's at 166. It's a little chalky. I understand that, but I'm just looking at it from this point of view. Is there has been so much talk this whole week about Danny Rick. He put up these times in Silverstone with the new tire testing. He put he was good for P8, and everybody said, oh, he was good for a front row, but the guy also drove a Red Bull, the fastest car on the grid, and he also put in 110 laps. So if you want to be so hyped up about it, that's fine. I'm not saying that the Danny Rick is a bad driver, but he hasn't been in a competitive race in over 10 months or 9 months. I'm not sure when the season ended. Was it October or November last year? But he hasn't raced in a competitive environment. I know that he's he's gonna get the jitters out in the free practices and the qualifying, but once it comes to the race, Yuki has been consistently in the 12th, 13th place. I just can't see Danny coming in first race in about 10 months and coming out there and running through the field in the Alpha Tauri that Nyck DeVries drove that is a total shit box, excuse my language, but I just can't see him coming out there. Yuki's gonna be very motivated because he knows that his job may be on the line. This is his year 3. I did go back and look at stats head-to-heads with Yuki and Danny Rick when they were on the grid during a race. So Danny is leading him 21-10 head-to-heads, but that was also with the McLaren when Danny Rick actually won a race in 21. I think it was Imola, I believe. I cannot remember. So the McLaren was very competitive. Last year's McLaren was not that good, but it was better than the shitbox that AlphaTauri has been the last couple of seasons. I like Yuki here. I know F1 Bet Hipster is gonna like this pick as well, and he has been loving Yuki, and everybody in the Discord loves it. I'm backing Yuki to beat Danny Rick in the race. That's my pick. And if you want to make money, you should go the opposite way because, like I mentioned,
I might do that.
Fade me hard right now because
No.
This is no. I'm not even joking. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there's a jinx or something over me, but yeah, that's my pick. But let's move on. Anything else you guys like? Chris, anything you like? I know they have a fun bet to tell us about. So can you talk?
Yeah,
about that?
I mean, just like everyone said, odds is just so tight right now. Especially, it's gonna be more of a react betting weekend, I believe, than more planning. So as far as putting something on the table that I feel great about, not too much. But last race anyways, we brought back the plums bet and we did a little spin wheel and we hit an 8. And if anyone wants to go look back at that win in time, it ended in an 8.
Yeah.
So
And
I mean,
was a
it's one for one. You just can't hate the process. So we're just gonna go back in the process. And I posted a clip earlier this week. We did a little race, and the winner was 1. So we're just gonna go back to the well. If it's feeding us, we're just gonna keep eating.
And that's it.
So-
Plus,
If it's the,
plus
yeah,
850.
that video is funny too. He was like, "If this 8 wins again, man."
Yeah, dude, no way that's just hitting again. It's just never gonna happen. But yeah, so we got 1 this week. So it's what's the bet? Let me look it up. What
The odds were what 1 plus 850.
plus 850, 1,000, whatever the number. The ending number in the race, in the race time. Yeah, so we got one this week. Just like I said last time, racing guys don't let us down. You want to fade them,
That's right.
be broke.
What about you, Cap? Anything you're eyeing? Anything you bet on already, or are looking at?
There is one that outside of the Aston Martin that I did like earlier this week, and it's a long shot, so don't expect it's going to hit, but it's the one I just always keep going to. Free practice 1, top 3, George Russell plus 600. I mean, it's a little, that's just too much. I mean, you got, I think Carlos Sainz was at like plus 350. That's where it should be around 350, 400 for Russell, and
Yeah, for sure.
it's not like he's a slouch here too. I mean, he did fine last year as well. Like Mercedes in general, they should be pretty competitive, and it's not uncommon to see them try to go out at the last minute and slap on maybe some softs to try on a quick low fuel, sim. So I expect that's just a good number just to have. Don't bet the house or anything, but if you want to have some fun, yeah. The plus.
Did George get
plus
pole here
600.
last year? Was that right?
Oh, actually, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Yep.
George was pole. Yeah.
So we got this track and the Miami, which me and Calf, we dipped in that George Russell Miami bet, and it brought us home.
Yeah,
nice.
and after that weekend too, they started pricing Russell down
Mhm.
again week after week. But now that I think they got it back up to 600 because they see Lando Norris, I think, is like even a plus 300 for FP1, right? Like you enter McLaren in the mix.
Yeah.
And I mean, for good reason. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But
Yeah,
that's
no.
give me.
All
I'll
right,
take that 600.
Max, Checo, George. That's your top three. Book it.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Exactly.
Man. And we'll probably hit a live bet while we're doing this. I'm sure.
Oh man. All right. Renegade. What about you? Anything you like? Anything else?
So I'd just say, just an observation, is that if there's like somewhere that a Ferrari qualifies in front of a Mercedes, then I'd say you'd probably want to be on the Mercedes, as they seem to be more willing to go on the soft tyre. Because if you remember last year, the teams were very conservative going to the hard tyre, and we saw it at Silverstone too after the safety car. And I think that's sort of a problem McLaren have as well, but we haven't really seen them in a position where like that before. But I think just to raise the performance of Ferrari in Austria from your minds, it just seems to be a place where they do really, really well. I don't think we will see both Ferraris in front of a Mercedes till they get a very specific track like that again, because their tyre deg and just race pace seems to fall off, especially Carlos Sainz. But yeah.
Yeah, and that was the bet I wanted yesterday. MGM had for the race Alonso against Sainz at -120. That was what I was hoping to grab. Come back this morning, they took it down
Yeah.
Sounds juicy.
because Renegade.
He
told me
probably
the other
he
day.
probably moved the line so much that they had
He
to
was
take
like,
it
"Yo, MGM, you're wrong. You're wrong."
off. I do want to say
I
this.
wish.
I want to say this that
He wants to see me cry just so he can do that.
Renegade, we want to give you props for. I just want to make sure that listeners know that it's currently 2 a.m. in the UK, and Renegade is here recording a podcast with his boys in the North American side, and for us it's only 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in some areas. But we appreciate Renegade joining every race weekend on the podcast. 2, 3 in the morning, anytime you're on call, you're always on. So we appreciate that.
Thanks. I heard it's triple time this time, so
Yeah.
triple pay, so no problem.
Oh yeah. It's
that
coming
right
from
over
you talk about lights about that, not me. Don't worry about.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about if you guys are in North America, if you're in a state where you're talking about lottos, like go get yourself a Mega Million or a Powerball. It's 1.2
shit,
billion.
that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Is that tonight?
It's the night.
my
Yeah.
dog-
It's too late.
I
too
want
late.
my daughter said, like you keep hearing about, oh, daddy made, I wanted some donut, and
See,
the guy went
that
to
would
the
have been
store.
better than betting Aston Martin top 10. Why didn't I just do that?
My daughter
20
wanted
units on
ice
tickets,
cream.
baby.
My daughter wanted an ice cream, and I went to 7-Eleven, bought her an ice cream, and I said, give me Powerball. I'm hitting the billions. This could be the last time you see me on a podcast. If I want to,
Dude,
just saying.
Just send me a bat
There will be
signal.
signs. There will be signs.
Oh yeah, that video.
No.
That was funny.
All jokes aside, no. If you're in North America, I believe that the Mega Millions is up to like 800 million too. I heard it on the radio. So get yourself a ticket, and have some fun with it. The one bet I like is I was looking at just right before the pod. I was on Bet Rivers because they usually post the most head-to-head sites where I'm located in the States. But Kevin Magnussen was over. Nico Hulkenberg over Kevin Magnussen was at 175 odds to beat him in the race. So far this year, I like Nico has been outperforming him. Qualifiers, races. Magnussen cannot seem to finish a single race. I feel like in the last 5-6 races, I don't know if he finished maybe 2 of the last 5 races. And with this whole, Haas was talking about earlier, I don't know if you guys read it, but they're talking about Nico being possibly renewed for another year. He might be very motivated here. Magnussen, like you said, just had a new baby, might be a little, not 100% there. And I don't think that they're gonna renew Magnussen with his performance. I think Haas is just gonna let it ride to the year. Kevin is gonna collect his paycheck, and I think he's just gonna call it a career. I don't think that he's gonna come back ever again. But that's another one I like. I like Hulk to beat Magnussen. It's my other bet that I really like. So
Is that was for the race, right?
that was
Yeah.
for the race. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 175. I haven't shopped around. It was Bet Rivers because I just logged in. It was the easiest one to look up right away. So. And then I want to mention that Lights Out has put up one of his picks, and it's also Yuki over Danny Ricciardo for qualifying. It's a little better odds at minus 133. He posted his reasoning on the Discord. If you're in the Discord, you could go ahead to head to his channel, read the reasoning behind it. But he's also backing Yuki as well as some other people are as well. Jinxie hasn't posted any picks yet, so hopefully you guys see his picks coming up throughout later in the week and in the weekend, and everybody else keeps posting. So if you're not in the Discord, please join. Links in the description. We're up to 1.27 k people in the Discord, maybe 1.28, I think. So we're growing. We appreciate everybody's feedback. Community bet again, hopefully to get back on track. And also Underdog. I'm sure that when lines come out and Price Picks, Lights Out, and everybody else in the Discord will start sharing their plays. If you're not on Discord, F1 Money Gang is the sign-up code. You get a deposit of $100, or link in the description as well. That's all I have, guys. You have anything else? Oh no, one more thing. Sim Race. How do we do, Chris? You wanna just tell us a little bit about how it went?
Yeah, so that was our fourth race of the year so far, which we're gonna keep doing every single week, every off week, anyways. So summer break coming up, we're gonna be hitting it pretty hard, just to keep everybody entertained. But I mean, technically I got podium, but I'm not gonna say I did. I got fourth this past weekend. The boys started from the bottom, and I'm coming for the top. That's all I gotta say. But to carry on that, this week we are doing a giveaway. We're giving away a free copy of F123, platform of your choice. We got all the details in Discord. Hop in there, sign up. It's completely free. Give it a go.
Awesome. And you said that starting next race, we're gonna fully switch to 23, right?
Yeah, we finally kicked the curve on 22. It's one of those
It's
things.
time.
It's like,
It's time.
yeah,
to
just
move
go.
on. Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys have?
One last thing, IndyCar. We do have a doubleheader race this weekend. Chris and I have been just hot on this thing. We do have Bet Indy as well, who's joined our squad. So, again, 2 days worth of racing, and I think there's also NASCAR too. So Jinx have some place there, and we'll probably all be dabbling a little bit with that too.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
want to say there's 9 total race sessions you can bet this weekend. So
Yeah,
a lot of options.
Lots of racing. Don't worry if you don't have F1. We got some IndyCar and a little NASCAR in there. Sprinkle a little bit,
Yeah, I did notice that the IndyCar chat has been popping off in the Discord, and it's been, you guys have, I only seen the green check marks on my phone. Notifications keep coming up. I'm like, all right, I like to see that, so. But
great. It's
we
been
want to
pretty
see
fun.
that, and I know that the IndyCar crawl has been increasing in the Discord, which is good to see. So if you're into IndyCar, talk to Capper.
Also, we are diving a little bit into supercars. That's the other thing. So if you're into supercars, you can also find some plays there.
Is there
Cat
any
tires or bet
motors?
nets. Simple as that.
Yep.
Is there any motorsports that you're not into, Capper?
And if it's got fucking wheels, I am in.
That's
And
good.
we also like the little pony action too. Renegade, the master over here.
No wheels, got legs. All right.
4 legs. Why not?
The king of horse racing. That's right, Renegade. I have to include the link where they could find all your picks, Renegade. I'm gonna input it in the description as well, where you could find Renegade's horse picks, and he occasionally posts them on the Discord as well. So if you need horse racing, he's got you covered. All right, well, I think that that's it for this week. Again, community bet will be posted on Saturday after qualifying. Go in and input what you like. Let's vote on it. Let's get back on track. We're still 7-3 on the season, which is 70% win mark. We want to keep it up. Let's get the 8th win. And I believe we have one more race weekend, which is next weekend, which is in Belgium. And then we're going to have 3 weeks off, but I know that me and the boys have a lot of fun stuff planned out for the summer break. And you guys have a good one, and let's get back on the winning track.